Hey, Ma, I'm about to rewatch The Ultimate Deletion. You want to check this shit out or what?
No thanks, I can't get into that shit.
What the fuck's your problem? You got against Broken Matt? It's the funniest shit on wrestling television today.
I just don't understand it. What the fuck is a Senor Benjamin? And why are you talking to a drone like it's a fucking person?
Oh, Mom.
Matt Hardy is a fucking idiot.
Bitch, you are obsolete, and I sentence you to deletion.
Scratch that. You're a fucking idiot.
Oh, Mom.
It's time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Welcome to another wrestling podcast. This is episode 184. I am your Mark of Marks, Credo.
I'm Minority Mike.
The king of the block party, Minority Mike.
Yeah, that guy. I haven't been blocked lately, though, so I got to get my numbers up.
There you go, and I'm everyone's favorite asshole, social assassin, angry Kuter. Bitches. Okay, let's go.
All right, guys.
Let's do this shit.
Just a look ahead. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you head on over to anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and now even Spotify, guys. We're on Spotify. We're on a lot of other stuff. Head over to the mothership, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. You'll find all the links at the top. Most importantly, rate, review us, subscribe to us, iTunes, all that fun stuff. Just click them, like them, follow us. That's how we thrive on in the world of podcasting. But guys, Josh Briggs is joining us today. He's a Northeast wrestling superstar, but you could probably see him up and down the East, West, wherever coast he may be. Josh Briggs is going to be joining us.
I had a conversation with Josh. Real nice guy. The little kids didn't know who he was, kept going up to him and asking him if he was Bray Wyatt. I had to go up to him and ask him, how many times at an autograph session do you get the Bray Wyatt comments? And he just started laughing. This guy looks like a skinnier version of Bray Wyatt.
He's huge, though. He's a tall guy. We talked to him a little bit about how he got into it. He played some college football, hated it, went to wrestling. So we'll be tuning in with Josh Briggs a little bit later. But, guys, the biggest week, I think, ever in the history of pro wrestling, only for this kind of news because nobody has ever done it before. Daniel Bryan is medically cleared to return to the ring, and you saw what happened on Smackdown. The dude's already taken bumps, and he's just hours into being cleared. Guys, this is big, right? This is once the first ever. I don't think anybody's ever retired and come back.
This is a fucking game changer. I couldn't be happier. And we have to thank, of all people, I never thought in a million years I'd be thanking Brie Bella for pushing him to get fucking this doctor, that doctor, get it done, chase your dreams. Thank you, Brie Bella, because this really just an abundance of dream matches. My God, I cannot wait. The only thing is he going to be the same performer that he was prior?
My whole thing is I loved it. I love the fact that he's back. This is what I've been wanting for a while. And I didn't think that they were going to clear him, that WWE was going to clear him. He was getting cleared by every single other doctor but WWE doctors, and I just didn't think it was going to happen. I just wish that they surprised us with it and they just didn't blow their load on social media. I wish that they just never announced it, right? And then that segment happened with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the ring. And then Kevin Owens just attacks Daniel Bryan to give us that what the fuck moment. Wait a minute, hold on. This guy isn't supposed to be doing any in-ring competition, and he's throwing drop kicks. That's going to make us all think about what the fuck is going on. I wish they would have played that angle, but no, we all know how the WWE is. They have to, get it out there as soon as possible. Yeah,
this happened, I think, lately, too. I think they announced, Kurt Angle returning and all that other stuff to where, man, I hate this kind of day and age because it's social media. You need this info now. And it's hey, tune in because we want all your ratings, so we're gonna spoil our biggest ever surprise. And I get it. I get that they want to draw viewers in by hearing this news, but at the same time, I agree with you, Mike. It's got to be, come on. There's not that many surprises ever, so let's have a surprise once in a while. It'd be fun.
That's all
right?
I ask for, just a fucking surprise. Just surprise me with something. Don't just.
I was surprised because you fucking guys are on your phones, clickety clackety all fucking day, listening to this, watching that, checking your Facebook, all that bullshit. Real men gotta work. I ain't got time for that shit.
No one
So when
was
I turned
going
on motherfucking Smackdown, piss drunk, and goddamn I saw, I'm like, oh shit.
WWE alerted everybody. Anybody that has their notifications on with WWE.com or the app got the notification.
Why
I got the
would you
notification.
do that to yourself?
Yeah, you are correct. Maybe I should turn my notifications off from Bleacher Report and WWE.com because
Yeah, I turn them all off because I do want to be surprised. It's the greatest feeling in the world to do that, Mike. You got to give it a shot.
I miss that feeling.
We're all plugged into the internet, right?
Oh, yeah, we are. And unfortunately, it just likes to just ram it in there dry.
Hey,
sometimes.
Hey now.
That's the truth. The WWE, they just one of the biggest surprises you could have had, and they just dropped the ball on it.
Oh.
And I'm not knocking the fact that, I have to, at the end of this conversation, I have to appreciate the fact that Daniel Bryan is cleared for in-ring competition. I have to appreciate that because that, like Kuter said in the beginning of the segment, it's a game changer. It changes a lot of things. And once WrestleMania is done and it's over with, you're going to see a lot of changes happening. Good changes, I would hope. It's a big deal. I just wish it, surprise me. Give me something like a WrestleMania moment, not a WrestleMania moment, but one of those moments leading up to WrestleMania. Like something that's going to make me just question what the hell's going on and make me want to tune in next week.
Could you imagine even if they waited till WrestleMania though too to okay, obviously it looks like Shane's going to be in it, right? Or we'll talk about that later. But what if Shane said he had a mystery partner, and Daniel Bryan played it up with I don't know who it's going to be, and then boom, he fucking debuted. That would have been another WrestleMania moment. But
yeah,
man, are we the only ones thinking about this? Come on.
You guys just you do it to yourselves, man. Putting those notifications on your phone is like mooning a tranny and just saying, here it is, and nothing's gonna happen. Turn the notifications off and watch TV like you're supposed to.
I know.
That's all I gotta say.
We're going to have to do an unplugged episode. But, there's some dream matches I know we're definitely going to be talking about a little bit later. But, guys, I can't think of anybody who's ever done this. I mean, I was trying to think in my head, and it's Cena came back. No, that was from an injury. He didn't retire. And then I was like, well, HBK did it, but that was an injury. He didn't retire like this officially. And then I was like, well, maybe the only one was Ric Flair because he retired from WWE, then went over to TNA. He didn't have the greatest career, but I mean, he still wrestled. But still, nobody's ever come back, retired on WWE TV, and then came back a few years later. So, man, there's definitely going to be a lot of dream matches we'll be talking about.
There is one guy. He had more gas in the tank. Technically retired with his salmon jacket, Mark Henry.
Nice segue. Nice.
But we all know that was kayfabe.
Definitely, and this is a big deal too. I mean, could there be hope for others? I mean, Paige recently got a neck injury, and they didn't really say anything about her being out or whatever. Maybe they're just waiting for tests, and we don't know. But she could be somebody that's looked at again. And in the beginning, we almost thought Kurt Angle wouldn't be doing this too because of all of his injuries, but he seems to find a way of doing it with tag teams. So this is very unique, guys, and it's definitely welcomed by every wrestling fan out there. I think it changed the landscape of possible matches we can see and will see, because I feel like at the end of the day, they needed this legend, if you will, this modern day legend, Daniel Bryan, to where they need him on the show. I mean, John Cena's fading away. Daniel Bryan, they need that name power. They need that fan, that the fan base that he has, just to pull you back in, right? I'm ready.
Credo,
I'm excited.
Roman Reigns has to be so
Pissed.
fucking pissed right now. It's I'm almost there. I'm on my way, and still nobody gives a fuck about him,
Nope.
right? And they're still stepping on him. And now this is just going to be them kicking him into the ground, like, fuck you, we got what we really want back. Fuck the Roman Reigns, as the Sheik would say.
I know what they did. They set this up for Mania because they're going to have Romans beat Brock, and then the next match is going to be Daniel Bryan, so we fucking forget about it that quick. Do you think it'll happen? They'll think they'll bounce the card like that, put Daniel Bryan on after a Roman Reigns win?
I'm going to be really interested to see
where he is.
Who is where on the card. And
I was
what's
just going to bring that up.
Show. It's very interesting because, I mean, big names and big returns. I mean, do we put Ronda second to last? Because it has to be a title match to close the show.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to put Cena and Undertaker last, so that's going to be somewhere in the middle.
Well,
you don't know.
Last year was Taker versus Roman non-title.
That was supposed to be for Taker's retirement, though, and I think they're just sucking him in for one more.
I think this could be the year. I mean, I've interviewed her, and they always say it in interviews that main event WrestleMania. Do you think they could put Charlotte versus Asuka? That's a I don't know. You think that's a big enough deal to end Mania with, or no?
I think it's going to be an incredible match. I don't think they've built it up enough to where it's going to main event. They haven't really booked a great storyline behind it, and you only got, what, 2 or 3 weeks left?
Yeah, 2 weeks left.
2 weeks left, man.
There's something about that match, and like you said, they haven't really done much of a storyline, but I'm still so psyched for that match, just because I know it's going to be a good match.
My God, it's a who's who.
They don't even have to touch. Like, okay, and this is what's going to bother me is this mixed match challenge, because you have Asuka and The Miz that advance to the finals, and then next week's the semifinals with Charlotte and Bobby Roode versus Balor and Sasha Banks. And if the finals are going to be Miz and Asuka versus Bobby Roode and Charlotte, I'm going to be pissed, because I don't want to see Asuka and Charlotte
either one of them lose
touch
before then. Yeah,
I don't want to see them touch until WrestleMania, because me personally, I feel like that kind of devalues that match a little bit, because I want to see their first interaction at WrestleMania. I don't want to see it in a mixed match challenge on Facebook. I don't.
Well,
That's a great point, because it just reminds me of Sami Zayn and Nakamura, who had never touched, and that made that match so special, man. Really.
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot to get into. I mean, Daniel Bryan, look at the possibilities now. Mania has changed, and man, I guess people are thankful buying those Mania tickets early now, because at first it didn't look like it was worth it. But now we can see the return of Daniel Bryan. Guys, there's a lot of other stuff to get into. A lot of wrestling, a lot of good stuff going on. It's Mania season. Let's get right into the week that was, shall we? Delete. Guys, we talked about it the past 2 weeks. We finally saw the ultimate deletion. I was trending worldwide, guys. Tell me about it, man. I got some of my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts first. Thumbs up, thumbs down, guys?
Well, you know what? I want to, before I give my points, I want to hear Kuter before I talk.
All right. You want me to be honest, because I watched it the next day, because I don't watch Raw. I watch highlights because...
You couldn't watch it on Hulu because WWE edited it out of Hulu.
No.
I'm just saying, and we'll get to that in a minute.
I'm sure I didn't watch it on Hulu. Believe me, YouTube. That's what that shit is for. But no, just to be honest, I did DVR it because I did want to see that, because I had a feeling that would be something that would have been cut out. And you know what? Everyone was like, "Oh, they're not getting enough time. They're not getting enough time." I thought the match was great. I think it was perfectly timed. It wasn't too long. It didn't drag on. You know, it had, a couple of good funny spots. I have to give it 2 thumbs up. I thought it was literally perfect. It was shot well. It wasn't too overproduced, and they got the perfect amount of time. It wasn't too much, and it wasn't too little.
The reason why I wanted you to go first, because I remember last week you said it was going to be shit. So I wanted to see...
I didn't say it was going to be shit. I said it could possibly have been shit, because they have a history of fucking up other people's shit.
And you are correct. Now, I loved it. I didn't think it was as good as the TNA days when they did it, but I loved it. The only thing I did not like about it was Michael Cole. Was before we even got into it, Michael Cole apologized for what we were about to watch. What we're about to watch now is obnoxious, and he was just completely shitting on it, pretty much telling the viewers, you can change the channel if you'd like to. Like, that did nothing.
I think that was a fucking Kevin Dunn remark. I feel like
either that or like Vince was in his ear, because I'm sure Vince gave it a chance, but Vince was probably freaking out, like worrying this is probably going to flop. I don't want to take responsibility if it flops, so I'll just have Michael Cole I'm going to feed Michael Cole these lines, and at the end of the day, if it's good, Michael Cole could just take the heat, and I'll just take the credit.
That's it. I'll tell you what, though. I didn't hate it, but I was kind of expecting a little bit more, maybe, because I figured with WWE behind it, maybe they might give him, the WWE money, if you will. But no, I like the whole how Matt Hardy kind of does it himself. But at the same time, I don't know. I thought I was expecting a totally different thing, but it was just like his TNA ones. So like, I think what you said was right, to where I think his TNA ones were probably a little bit better. I have to see them back to back, I guess, if you will. But at the end of the day, is Bray Wyatt gone forever, or what are we going to get? Everybody's talking about Husky Harris to return, or are we going to get a broken triple threat of Brother Nero, Broken Hardy, and a Bray Wyatt? Could we see a new three-man group with these guys?
Oh, God, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't do this to yourself. And don't do this to me, because whenever you start doing this, you make me want to punch a baby, and I'm stealing your phrase. The point is, I'm glad that it wasn't overly produced the way WWE tends to do things. They let Matt do his thing. They didn't let him do too much, which is probably a good thing, because if it goes too far out there, WWE viewers are very different than, just straight wrestling fans who, like in TNA, that's a different type of fan. Those are more, I want to say, indie fans. I think, Mike, you might agree with that. So,
yeah.
No,
like, I mean, there was a lot of things that they could have done that they didn't. Like, they could have did more stuff with Senior Benjamin, I would have thought. Maybe something with, King Maxwell. Something more along the lines of that. I enjoyed it. I just didn't like how Michael Cole came out and just was shitting all over it.
They needed like a camera on Vince. That I would rather I want to watch the version where we're watching Vince watching it for the first time live.
First time, yeah, hell yeah.
And I want to see because he's done some crazy shit throughout the years. I'm kind of curious what his thoughts were. Because, you know what I mean? Like, did he watch the stuff that he did in TNA? Is this the first time he's ever seen this video kind of thing? So, I would love to have seen a camera on Vince.
Hulk Hogan tweeted at, "I'm deleted." Like, I don't know if that was like a shot that he just didn't like it or whatever it is, but Matt Hardy replied to Hogan, "I could certainly submerge you into the lake of reincarnation, Hogan of Hollywood. It truly does work wonders for deleted vessels."
Could you imagine if that's how they brought Hogan back? That'd be the most fucking hilarious thing ever. They brought him back.
And you know what? and you make that statement about Michael Cole saying that. Who's to say that that's not going to be an angle down the road? Because, I mean, it's not like it wouldn't be the first time Michael Cole hasn't been pushed into an angle. I mean, look at the stuff with Jerry Lawler and him with The Miz and so on and so forth. So, I mean, you don't know. Let's not judge him too harshly yet.
I will say this, though, because of like how it was trending worldwide all night and the response that the fans gave it, this isn't going to be the last time you're going to see the Hardy compound.
Well, we are a few weeks away from WrestleMania. Did you guys think... I mean, none of these guys even have Mania matches. Are they just going to be thrown into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal? Or are we going to get another Deletion kind of video in New Orleans style or something for Mania? Or where do these guys fit at Mania, since they already showed the Ultimate Deletion 3 weeks before Mania?
It's tough to think about it, man, because, I mean... Wow, that card is so packed, and I don't know if you want to add any more to it, because I don't want to have an entire Sunday, Sunday morning into late Monday night.
New start time, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. pre-show, 10 a.m. pre-show, 12 p.m. start time, and then the main event finally hits like midnight.
The pre-show is actually on right now, guys. If you can start watching it now till April. Fuck it, it's begun, man. But anyway,
I mean, they're doing so much right now. Like all the other talent, they're going into the Battle Royal. Like the Revival is throwing out the gimmick that they're gonna be the first tag team to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Man. They just announced on SmackDown that Baron Corbin and Ty Dillinger are going to be in the Battle Royal. Oh my, I don't know if there's any room. I think, unfortunately, Hardy and Bray Wyatt are going to be in the Battle Royal.
You got a lot of star power this year. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had a card with this kind of star power behind it, and in these big matches. So I mean, some of these up and comers, Yeah, would I like to see Baron Corbin in a match? Of course I would. I like Baron Corbin. But you know what? We don't have room for everybody. We don't have room for a Samoa Joe right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know? Is he even ready to compete?
No. Well, from what I heard, that they're probably waiting on him till he was rumored to be Braun Strowman's tag partner, and then he's also rumored to be on the night after WrestleMania. So,
Well, we'll see what happens with that, I guess. But either way, we were ultimately deleted. Mike, dipping into your MMA world, tell us about this Ronda Rousey video that they showed, or something a little bit special
on
to it.
Raw. Yeah, the Ronda Rousey video on Raw. It was a video package because Ronda wasn't on televised Raw. She was on Raw, but it wasn't. It was a dark match. I really liked this video with her and Kurt Angle. Now, everybody is on Ronda about her mic skills and all that stuff. Granted, she does not have great mic skills, but this video package they did was edited. She pretty much was just talking from the heart. And the one thing the WWE did that nobody else could do was get her to talk about her loss against Amanda Nunes what she went through. No one could get her to talk about that. This is the first time she opened up about it, how she felt, what happened. And then it really, like, I'm still trying to, like, get on board with this Ronda thing. Like, I know she's going to be an amazing athlete once she gets the sport down, but right now I'm still trying to buy into her on the mic and see how it is. But, like, I'm starting to invest a little bit just because of this video package. And if you guys haven't seen it, go back and watch it because it's actually really good. And she talked about how she wanted to be in the Olympics, and then that didn't. Once she got there, life went on. So then she went to the UFC. She started MMA, went to the UFC, and then once that started panning out, it's because life went on. Now life brought her to professional wrestling, and life is going on.
No, yeah, and you know what's funny is that vignettes, these little vignettes, they need them for some people because I mean, granted, we know who Ronda Rousey is, but there's probably thousands, hundreds, whatever little girls that don't know who Ronda is. They don't watch UFC. They don't really know who she is. So to them, it's just like, oh, there's another girl, Ronda. Okay, well, they need these things, So it kind of helps build her image a little bit. So if anything, it's going to help her at the end.
And it was cool because in the video package, they got a lot of licensing from the UFC. They showed a lot of videos from the UFC, a lot of Bruce Buffer announcing. They had Mike Goldberg. Remember that? Not Bill Goldberg. Don't get confused. It was former UFC announcer Mike Goldberg, who I thought was one of the best play-by-play guys in MMA. And that just to hearing Bruce Buffer and Mike Goldberg on WWE television was just really unique, and it was awesome in my opinion. So right now, I wouldn't say I'm all in on this match, but they're starting to kind of wheel me in a little bit on that promo alone. I just hope they don't fuck it up.
All right, quick segue, Mike. I got a question for you.
What's up?
Play-by-play, who do you like better, Mike Goldberg or Mauro Ranallo in terms of MMA?
MMA, ooh, that's tough.
It's a tough one.
It is tough because when it comes to MMA, I mean, they're both really good. But if it just, I love Mauro Ranallo, I really do, but I'm gonna go Mike Goldberg because his voice, even though Mauro Ranallo is just like the man, Goldberg was more recognizable.
And he had the catchphrases too.
He had the catchphrases too. So,
okay.
Well, guys, just when you think the Hall of Fame class couldn't get any bigger, it got a little bit bigger. Mark Henry is going into the Hall of Fame. Guys, joining Jeff Jarrett, the Dudley Boys, Jarius Robertson for the Warrior Award, Goldberg, Hillbilly Jim, Ivory, Kid Rock, and Mark Henry. Guys, just when you think there couldn't be any more people going into the Hall of Fame this year, we get Mark Henry, and they never really ever announced his retirement in wrestling. Maybe he does something at WrestleMania. Well-deserved, Mark Henry.
Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Who doesn't love that theme song? I mean, really.
Get your wig split.
Was that 3-6 Mafia?
My whole thing is like, I think it's well deserved. The only problem I have with it is, this guy just had a match at the end of 2017. So it's like I just saw him on my television in like December or November. I might be wrong, but I just recently saw him on my television. Like, give me some space with these guys. Let me want to get invested into hearing their speeches after time. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder, they say.
Yeah.
I want some time away from these people. I mean, I don't want to discredit the fact that, you know, he definitely does deserve it. It's just that, like, I feel like it's way too soon. Way too soon. I hope it's all a work. I hope the person that's inducting him, right, when he goes to shake the guy's hand, he picks him up and hits him with the world's strongest press and just screams, "I ain't done yet," and walks off the stage. I hope. That'd be great.
Guys, you know, one thing, if you didn't notice about this class, is that there isn't a dead person in it yet. Jeff Jarrett, Dudley Boys, Goldberg, Hillbilly Jim, Ivory, Kid Rock, Mark Henry. This picture that they posted, it's funny because I'm like, hey, there's one more spot right where that empty spot is for a head, and I don't know, is it weird? Has it been like the first time, or I don't know, like a non-deceased wrestler has gone in? Am I speaking too soon?
You spoke too soon, because I read today on the fabulous interweb that that dead spot is gonna. That's what I'm gonna call it. It's sad, but the dead spot's gonna go to Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yeah, I heard that. This is a huge
now.
class, man. Though, like, man, what's the limit? There's so many people going on.
WrestleMania, like, you know, they got to be like WrestleMania. They have to
Wow, Bam Bam
induction, like, probably 5 hours.
Wow.
How about a quick favorite Mark Henry moments? Anything that comes to mind?
Just that retirement.
Mine is his fake retirement.
Yeah, that was the best, because it was like it was a surprise. We all knew, nobody, you know, it was a really good surprise.
I still love him and Mae Young, giving birth to the hand. I mean, that's
guarantee you they'll never bring that up either.
I know.
They might.
Maybe the hand inducts them.
Yeah, they did some weird shit. Like, I remember when they inducted Booker T and they were playing that video package of his career. You know, they played the infamous Hulk Hogan, "We coming for you," but they cut it off right there so that they didn't drop the M word. But it was like, everybody knows that fucking sound clip. I mean, it's just iconic. So you don't know, they might throw something in there for that video package.
Well, either way, the huge Hall of Fame class this year. But guys, we talked about Daniel Bryan, man. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were fired right before they did the little beatdown on Daniel Bryan. But I love it, because Owens is pretty much into this, because what happened online? He changes his Twitter handle to Kevin Steen and Fight Steen Fight. He ain't breaking kayfabe, and I love it. What about you guys?
He deleted all WWE mention on his Twitter, and I think that WWE.com actually removed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They're in the alumni section now, so they're really playing to this storyline, which is good. Yeah. It's what you need. I mean,
he deleted all mentions of WWE in his Twitter.
He deleted all mentions, and he changed Owens back to Steen, his real name. And he changed his Twitter handle from Fight Owens Fight back to Fight Steen Fight.
It would have been funny if he did the Kill Steen Kill.
Yeah. But I mean, like, he literally is, and he deleted all mention of WWE Superstar in his profile. Everything. I will not be surprised if he's really playing up to it and starts putting an email address for bookings.
That'd be great.
like everybody else does. Just to play up to this storyline.
This is it. This is the best way to be not break kayfabe in 2018. You gotta change your Twitter handle and change all that stuff. But, you know, just to think, because Kevin Owens, if you thought about it, before this whole Daniel Bryan thing ever happened, he probably had to be thinking, like, fuck, I don't have a good Mania match again this year, you know? Not like a Universal title match, not a WWE Championship match. It's like he's going to probably go against Sami Zayn, and then it's looking like him just against Shane McMahon. And now to be in the match where Daniel Bryan's return, nothing's official. Anything could happen, but still, that's where it seems like it's going for. So, I mean, lucky them. It's a great match to be part of, Daniel Bryan's return match. But who wins? How do they get back in the company, guys? Is it are they going to win at Mania? Are they going to beat Daniel Bryan's return at Mania just to come back into the SmackDown, or do they go to Raw after Mania? I don't know.
You know what's funny? I really hope that this match happens, because I said this would happen a while back, and one of you, if not both of you, told me this shit's not going to happen. And I remember Mike specifically telling me, why would you do that? Because look who you have. I mean, it would be a great way to protect Daniel Bryan, and I'm quoting you, putting him in a tag match. But look who he has to tag with, the king of the worst rabbit punches in the world. Those were your exact words.
Yeah,
so
because
this kind of sucks, but hey, that's going to be the hottest tag in wrestling history. Shane getting his ass beat. The hottest tag ever, and that crowd's going to go ballistic.
That's true. Like, when you put him in there with another professional wrestler, then, yeah, I feel more safe. But when you got a guy like Shane McMahon being his partner, that's not protecting Daniel Bryan at all.
Oh,
not one bit.
Spoiler alert, somebody else made the list this week. We're going to get into that, but that's pretty much on what you're going with. I hear that 100% though, Mike. Out of anybody, I hate. Oh, no, I'm not going to get into it. We're going to get into it later. But yeah, regardless, Kevin Owens though, Sami Zayn, how do they get their jobs back? How do you see them getting their jobs back? By Mania or something else? Or will you see them go to Raw, you think?
There is a superstar shakeup coming up. I mean, and technically they got fired from SmackDown. So, but I kind of wish they don't go to Raw, because Raw is just. I mean, unless they really do a huge shakeup, I just think they're going to get lost in the shuffle, especially with Roman as champion there. What I want is them to go back to SmackDown somehow, and I want that WWE title on Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon pissed off at the world that Kevin Owens is holding that WWE title. Like, the anti-WWE guys just won the title, just like that storyline at Ring of Honor with Jim Cornette.
Yes.
When he was doing everything, Jim Cornette was doing everything in his will to keep that belt away from Kevin Steen, but he still got it. And that visual of Kevin Owens holding the ROH title in the ring, yelling at Jim Cornette, standing on the outside, was just a great visual.
Well, guys, a lot of stuff happened this week. That was just some of it. But anyway, joining us right now, Josh Briggs. All right, joining us today is Josh Briggs, and there's a chance that he may not like me. But Josh, man, thanks for joining us today on the show. How's it going?
That's good. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, chances are I don't like you or anyone else for that matter.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I've come to know you at Northeast Wrestling. I've seen you the past few shows. You're a big dude. I'm a big guy, but I mean, you're the guy who's doing aerial stuff at your height and whatnot that a lot of guys your size probably just can't do. But before we get too much into that, can you take us back and how you got into this crazy world of pro wrestling?
Yeah, so so early on, I always loved wrestling. I had like a weird infatuation with it, and it just so happened that it kind of fell into my lap. I moved out to Massachusetts for a football scholarship, and lo and behold, Massachusetts is a huge breeding ground for professional wrestlers, and I stumbled upon Mike Hollow, who took over for Killer Kowalski and his old training school, and learned the basics from him. And Mike passed me on to the New England Pro Wrestling Academy with Brian Fury in Andover, Mass. And I just fell in love with it all over again for a different reason, really.
So tell me this. So you did play college football, is that correct? Did you always have that idea of like, hey, after I'm done with football, or I'm going to do wrestling kind of a mentality?
So it's a little more complicated than that. I played football, played college football, Division I, and I hated it. I thought it was one of the worst experiences in my life. It just made me like really bitter towards football. And my junior year ended, and I decided I didn't want to play football anymore. And I really didn't think there was any amount of money that could be provided to me to make me want to play football. So I lost a bunch of weight. I was 315 pounds playing center at the University of Massachusetts. I trimmed down from 315 to 285 my senior year. And I kind of stopped really focusing on football. And while I was playing football, I was more passionate for wrestling. So I'd instead of studying football, I'd be studying wrestling and watching wrestling and stuff, trying to transition and make the leap easier once I finished football. So I think it all really had to do with moving out to Massachusetts and having that fallback, that little safety net in pro wrestling. And once I realized I didn't want to play football anymore, it just made everything so much easier.
No, definitely. I think we had the same mentality of football because I kind of hated it in high school, and I was just done with it. I was like, I can't. I'm done with it. It was just, I think I reached a breaking point with it too, and I hear you. So, okay, tell me a little bit. You got into pro wrestling. You trained with Mike Hollow and Brian Fury. Now, were you always a fan of pro wrestling, or did you just get more into it later on to where you said you were studying it more? Were you always like a fan of it though?
Yeah, there's some pictures floating around on my social media somewhere. I think of me. I think it was my fifth or sixth birthday party. This is my first interconnection with pro wrestling. I got a bunch of professional wrestling action figures. They were all WCW action figures because that was the hot thing when I was a kid. And I fell in love with those action figures because they were so much cooler than all the other toys that I had, I think. And I wanted to see what corresponded with those toys. So I think my parents would put on wrestling for me. And I got to play with those action figures while I was watching the wrestlers on TV when I was 5, 6, and that was really the first my first memories of pro wrestling, and that's kind of where I fell in love with it.
Sure. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, you're a tall guy. You're what, 6'7", I believe, or
yes, 6'7".
So you're just fucking tall. You're huge, man. Right. But like I was saying, you're a big guy, but you're doing stuff that a lot of other big guys aren't doing. And I think one guy I want to compare you to, who I've seen, who actually impressed me as well, was Donovan Dijak, who I've also read that you were a big fan of, and you also had a match with and worked with. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe your experience with Dijak in the ring? Because like I said, there's not too many big guys out there who are doing what you do in a way.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is really well known or not, but me and Dijak have a few different connections, and we both played football at the University of Massachusetts. And that was our first real bonding moment when we both found that out, and we both really disliked football. And we both trained at the same school under Brian Fury, and we have a lot of similarities. Like you said, a lot of people bring up the similarities in size and athleticism, but he was always the guy I wanted to have a big match with, and I got to really have a big coming out party match for Limitless Wrestling up in Maine, and that match with me and him was about as perfect of a match as you can have at the time for me and my skill level. It was really fun being in there with someone who hits as hard as me and really brings that aggression out of you. And he was so much better than me, and he still is better than me, but so much better that it made me like a whole new level of good, if that makes sense. He brought everything out of me that I didn't know I had. And to showcase both of our athletic abilities at the same time in the same match was really neat for me.
No, for sure. And how long have you been in this world of pro wrestling? It's only been about a year or two, right? Not too long?
Yeah, 2 years and 2 months since I started training.
Wow. It moves fast, right? It's like it moves fast, you learn fast. But I got a question for you. Just you've been working on the indies, you've been working all over. As an independent wrestler, how does it feel for you? Because this is, and I call it the James Ellsworth syndrome, because, hear me out, to where, when they put James Ellsworth on WWE, it's like, well, there's a lot of things you could say, but it was like, well, why him? Why did he, why did he make it? But it seems only the last few years, not too much, probably even when you almost started training or joined wrestling, but it was almost like before that you really had to go to their system, and then you had to work, work your way up, and it was a long process. But nowadays, I feel like it's anyone and everyone is up for grabs in a way. If they see you, they like you, they like your look or whatnot. You can. They want you. You know what I mean? It's a different world out there. But for you as a pro wrestler, how does that make you feel? Because you haven't been in it too long, but just knowing that fact that, hey man, you can get a call tomorrow and say, hey, we like you. We like the way you look. We like what you're doing. We want you to join us, kind of thing. How does that make you feel as a pro wrestler, knowing that the game has changed a little bit to where anybody can really make it into the WWE or anywhere really? But just using them as the main example.
Yeah. So just to touch on that whole transition a little bit, when I first got in, I was under the impression that I was going straight to the WWE because that's what they were looking for at the time, was tall, collegiate, non-wrestlers who had some type of athletic background. And I think like 4 or 5 months into my training, they switched what they were looking for from those homegrown, like bare bones type of guys to the names on the independents that could actually draw a lot of money from them. And the way that it worked out and the way it is right now, I love it. I think it's better. I'm blessed that I was able to become an independent wrestler. But I think it's awesome. I think that it just makes everything so much more accessible. Everyone can make money now on the independents, and once you do that, you can get called up and make even more money. It's great. I think it's a win-win for everyone, for the independent wrestling itself, for the guys getting taken up, and for the WWE themselves. I think there's no harm in it, and it's really neat.
No, definitely. And, you've worked with a lot of promotions, from Chaotic Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling. What I've known you for is Northeast Wrestling. If I could probably get your thoughts a little bit on Northeast Wrestling, because you've had a few shows with them already. What are your thoughts on just the fans there from Bethany, Connecticut, the little place in Bethany, to where it just seems like it's a lot bigger than what it really is, because those fans are just awesome. They love wrestling. That's their thing, you know what I mean? Like, that town is wrestling. But even just recently at WrestleFest 22, that kind of a crowd. They have great crowds, but what's your thought and takes on wrestling for Northeast Wrestling?
So in my personal opinion, I don't think there's much bigger crowds and like great wrestling quality fans than Northeast Wrestling. The crowd you were there for WrestleFest was unbelievable. People would kill to be able to perform in front of that crowd, and for Bethany too, the crowd's amazing. Like you said, they just love wrestling. They're into everything. It's a pleasure to work for Northeast Wrestling, and the fans are what really make it so much more special to perform in front of, and that's really what elevates a match to the next level, is the fans. And it's really fun to have a good match in front of those fans. No,
definitely. Now, you've been in the business for 2 years right now. Do you have kind of like a little bit of a bucket list, if you will, of guys you definitely want to meet anywhere in wrestling right now? Do you have maybe a little bit of a short list of guys you definitely want to fight before I don't know, anything else?
Yeah, I got a good list of guys. Matt Riddle's on there. David Starr's on there. Joey Janela's on there. Number one is my professional wrestling trainer, Brian Fury. But he's since retired. So I'm trying to slowly coerce him out of retirement. We'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of people that are on that list, and I've been able to knock a lot of the guys who used to be on my list off, and that's pretty cool.
Definitely. I like looking at people's Twitters, and I like to call people out on some tweets and kind of understand the full message behind it, because you're only allowed a certain amount of characters.
Yeah.
One tweet from you just a day ago, you have the world is going to hell in a handbasket because we had the first 2 snowstorms less than a week apart in the middle of March, and now Kid Rock gets inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame before Fred Durst. You said you're done. Can you? Yeah. I mean, I think everybody is kind of like, it's a weird process for this Hall of Fame, because it's like you get, a legend, then you get the woman, then you get a tag team, then you get the guy who died or whatnot, and then it's just like Kid Rock, Drew Carey. It's kind of random, but maybe you want to explain a little bit about that and Fred Durst, that tweet?
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. I understand that there has to be that celebrity that for mainstream and all of that, but it's Limp Bizkit. I was at WrestleMania 19 where he performed, and The Undertaker's one of my favorites. I've taken a lot of Undertaker stuff, so it's no secret. But he played the Undertaker out and everything, and it just doesn't really, to me, in my eyes, make sense that Kid Rock has made it in before Limp Bizkit. No offense to Kid Rock, because Kid Rock's great, I'm sure, but Limp Bizkit, I feel like, has just done so much more for the WWE.
No, for sure. I mean, that's what a lot of fans. There's a lot of people that are way before some of these other guys that are getting in, but. Yeah. I just wanted to read that out. But you mentioned The Undertaker. Is there anybody else that you maybe have modeled yourself after, taking some moves, or just kind of made your own person? Yeah. So in wrestling, you just take what's old and make it new again, and everyone admires someone, and they take a little something. So The Undertaker, first and foremost, was my guy that I did a lot of that from. Barry Windham's up there too. Not a lot of people would expect that or not, but Barry Windham was one of the most fluid big men of all time, and just such an amazing athlete for his size back in the day. One hell of a baby face. Kane is another guy that's up there for me. I really like watching Luke Harper and Brody Lee when he was on the Indies. Dijak is another guy that I took a lot of my idiosyncrasies from, the in between stuff that makes you who you are as a wrestler, and a couple other independent wrestlers like that. I just love Drew McIntyre now. Just big dudes who can move around and are athletic for their size is really what I was looking for. But Undertaker, Barry Windham, and Dijak are probably the top 3 for me. Sure, definitely. And one other thing too, I mentioned too, there's like a lack of big guys, if you will. I mean, mainstream today, you got like a Braun Strowman, but this year, I mean, I think Big Show has wrestled his last match. Kane's pretty much out on his way out of the door, if you will. There's not too many guys your size, just who, or I don't know, who are really in there anymore. I mean, do you think there's maybe a lack of big guys happening right now to where, Dijak, who's in NXT now, they're kind of making a comeback, but do you think there's maybe a lack of big guys around? So in my opinion, all the big guys that were around got bought up by the WWE. They're all in developmental right now. Chris Hero, Dijak, Galloway, those type of big guys. Yeah. But on the indies right now, I don't see many big guys. It's me and Brody King, and we're both 2 extremely big athletic guys who have different things to offer, and so it's kind of I wouldn't say easy, but it makes us stand out a lot more. When we can do those athletic things, and when I can walk to the ring, and people in the crowd standing on their feet the same level as me can see how tall I actually am and how big I actually am. That always helps out tremendously, and so there's a lack, but I think that right now
me and Brody King are kind of holding it down pretty well for athletic big men out on the indies.
Sure, definitely. And, last but not least, I just want to get your opinion on this because, we live in a world where there's pretty much wrestling every day of the week, with WWE Monday, Tuesday, or TNA one day. But even with the network now, YouTube, Flow Slams, even, just anything and everything, even promotions all across the world have, like, their own network, if you will, or you can watch it online, watch it on your phone. Do you think it's... how do I get this out? To where I love wrestling, I'm a fan. Do you think at a certain point there's just maybe too many shows on during the week for people to consume? Or, even with you're a wrestler, you're on the road. Do you still watch? Do you watch whatever you can or when you can? Or there's just so much stuff to keep up with. Is it too much these days? Is it too oversaturated, if you will?
That's a hard question to ask. I think yes and no. Yes, for that. If you're looking, you're gonna find as much wrestling as you want. But I think a lot of fans right now are into the instant gratification aspect of it. It's just because of all the multimedia we have, GIFs, and the quick WWE clips that they post on YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to keep up with wrestling in that aspect. But if you're looking for really good quality matches, I think that it's pretty it's still pretty how do I say this? Average. You can still you can't really go and pick and choose those good quality matches. You have to kind of find them and stumble upon them. There's obviously wrestling every day. Even on the independents, there you can basically, if you really want to travel, can wrestle Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is unbelievable. But to get those quality matches, quality crowds, quality arenas, stuff like that, it's a little bit more hard to come by. So it's oversaturated in the fact there's a lot of wrestling, but quality of wrestling, it's still about where it needs to be, I think.
Sure. Hey, just curious from a wrestler's point of view, but hey, that's why we're here. We love wrestling. But Josh Briggs, where can people find you? Where can they see you on some shows coming up? Social media? Can you tell us anything and everything about Josh Briggs on how to find you online?
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Josh Briggs. Add me on Facebook at Josh Briggs. I post my matches and my match schedules and all that stuff for the month in a nice professional looking graphic that I take hours out of my day to create. But coming up this month, I got Eddie Edwards at Cold Fury this Friday, March 16th. March 18th, I'm at NEW, and it's me and David Starr at Beyond Wrestling as well that same day. Making my MCW debut March 14th in Maryland. I'm always up in Canada. I'm in the Midwest now for Black Label Pro and talking to some other people. So basically, if you walk outside of your house, you'll probably see me at this point.
Well, there you go. And chances are he doesn't like you. Josh Briggs, thank you so much, man. I'm sure we'll talk to you again down the road, but we appreciate you taking the time out for us today.
Of course. Thanks, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week on the Minority Report, I saw an interesting article on Bleacher Report, and I have to talk about it. So, UFC heavyweight Francis Ngannou. Everyone who doesn't know him, you need to YouTube this motherfucker. He has the world record for the hardest punch. He punched the soul out of Alistair Overeem. He just recently lost to heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic. He calls out Brock Lesnar. He says he wants that fucking fight. I personally think that, he would destroy Lesnar, but that's a conversation for another day. But this call out from Ngannou, that puts the ball deeper into Lesnar's court with these WWE negotiations, because now you're getting some buzz with the UFC, with the MMA community. So Vince McMahon hears that, and now you have people talking. Like right now, I'm talking about it. and I know other people are talking about it. So that's going to be newsworthy conversation to help these negotiations for Lesnar. I gotta say, I think it's going to be the wrong move for Lesnar to go back to the UFC, because as he's being a professional wrestler, the sport of MMA goes on. But Kuter, I know you know Ngannou, and I know you know the MMA just as much as I do. What are your thoughts on Ngannou calling out Lesnar?
Well, anything to get yourself back into the title hunt, and that's probably the best for Ngannou. It doesn't do anything for Lesnar, and honestly, I don't see that as a draw for Lesnar. Ngannou's not a big enough name. Does he have an incredible punch? Yes, but dude, Stipe, made him look like he tap danced around him.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, UFC put some nice vignettes about Ngannou. They promoted that fight very nice for him and Stipe, and you kind of thought, hey, maybe Ngannou's going to take this guy out. I don't see that as a draw for Lesnar. Lesnar's going to want a big money fight, and I don't think Ngannou's. He doesn't have enough stock. He's not a big enough name. Mark Hunt, arguably a bigger name than Ngannou, I think, because it's an interesting matchup, especially for Lesnar. Lesnar can take down a Mark Hunt because Mark Hunt is slower. Ngannou's not as slow. But, I mean, again, what kind of ground game does Ngannou have?
Ngannou has, I believe, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Interesting fight. Bad for Lesnar. Great for Ngannou, but I don't see that as a draw for Lesnar. I don't think that's not a big money fight. Brock wants a big money fight, and who on that roster do you think is going to draw Brock Lesnar?
The only fight that would help Brock Lesnar is a John Jones fight, and we all know where John Jones is right now. He's battling the Nevada. No, he's battling USADA right now. So,
well, guys,
I don't see.
Well, from an outsider, I don't watch too much UFC or MMA stuff, but for me looking in, what did he? So he had problems the last time. He was caught doping or whatever. He had something, right? And then didn't that ban him for like how long? It was just a year.
So what happened was his suspension was 1 year. He has to allegedly, and I don't know how accurate this, but he put himself back in the drug testing pool, and I believe that suspension doesn't start until his name is back in the drug testing pool, because he has to go through that year of and it doesn't matter what you're doing. If your name's in the drug pool for the USADA, they'll show up wherever you're at to test you, and you have to be there. And if you're there and you can't give them anything, they wait until you can. So allegedly, and don't quote me on this, but apparently I heard a rumor, I read it online, that he put his name back in the doping pool. That was about a couple months ago.
Yeah, I heard that a while ago, yeah.
So I would say his suspension is pretty much righted out. He pretty much got a slap on the wrist for he tested positive for estrogen blockers, which most people who don't understand it, if you're doing a cycle of testosterone and you cycle off, you have to take estrogen blockers so everything evens out naturally. If you don't, you're going to get man tits. Does he go back to the UFC? I think it's the dumbest move he'll ever do, but I mean, this is every time Lesnar's contract's up, he always finds a way to get some leverage to get more money. And if Vince McMahon Vince McMahon's a guy just like you, Credo, who's an outsider, who doesn't understand it. So when he sees this guy who's pretty much the size of Lesnar calling out Lesnar, he sees two big sweaty men, and he sees that as a draw. So he sees big money right there. So he wants to try to pull Lesnar away from that. So he's going to offer Lesnar more money.
Yeah, so from what I understand, too, is that Lesnar's contract does indeed end after WrestleMania 34. But also, he wouldn't be able to do anything outside of the WWE until at least August without Vince McMahon's permission. So it should be interesting to see what he does. But also, what about his last match? I thought almost that was like a one and done, to where he wanted to prove himself that he could do it again, and he did it again, and then that was it. But then I know he got caught with the whole thing, but even with that consideration, then even his age, is he, I don't know, old now, considering for UFC days or MMA days or whatever, or he's just a beast?
I think he's better off going to Bellator because that's where all the old guys are now. Bellator is like the WCW of MMA. Like they got guys like Rampage and Chael Sonnen, and all in their 40s fighting. I just don't think the UFC is a good fit for Lesnar. I mean, I'm arguing with Marks about this all the time. Oh God,
you saw me get in that argument.
Yeah, I'm arguing with them because they become MMA professionals just because they're huge Lesnar fans, and that pisses me off. And this is why MMA fans hate wrestling fans. You know, this is why there's a beef between MMA and wrestling fans, because when a CM Punk is involved or Brock Lesnar is involved, all of a sudden these guys who never watch MMA become fucking professionals at critiquing it, and they're trying to educate us. A guy like Lesnar, he was a big fish in a small pond, and I don't want to repeat what we talked about last time, but that's what he was when he won the heavyweight title. Since he's been gone, the heavyweight division has evolved, and the division has gotten a lot better since Lesnar has been gone. Does Lesnar beat a guy in the top 10? Absolutely not.
Well, let me say this. Like I said, Lesnar's about big money fights, and maybe you're wondering, why would you spoil a Daniel Bryan return? Well, you want to gauge your reaction prior and then see what that reaction is going to get for your ratings, because you don't think there's not going to be big money in a potential Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan at a WrestleMania. That's big fucking money.
The only thing with that is that Lesnar can call his shots per fight, but when it comes to the WWE, he just has one contract that states how much he gets paid for this appearance, how much he gets paid for this appearance. So it doesn't matter what match you put him in, he's still going to get paid the same. But when it comes to the UFC, he's going to have, like his last fight against Mark Hunt, he made $5 million before he had to relinquish a part of his purse. He made $5 million, and that's just on his contract.
Pay-per-view points, yeah.
And that doesn't even include the pay-per-view points. So, I mean,
one fight in the UFC that would interest me for Lesnar, because Daniel Cormier is a bit of a underweight heavyweight, I want to say. It's a small heavyweight. That's an interesting fight, just because of the size difference.
Let's see how Daniel Cormier goes against Stipe in July, and then that could be a fight they could make, which I think could be a big money fight.
That's an interesting fight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Angry Kuter mixtape, the must-see matches of the week. The 4 shows that I watch: Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, and NXT. For Raw, obviously, if you're not picking the ultimate deletion, you're not a fucking wrestling fan. So that's what I picked for Raw. SmackDown, I went Nakamura versus Rusev. I know I've been bitching. I hated that they had that match on the pay-per-view. You're killing Rusev. But these guys have such great chemistry, and it was a fun match to watch. I enjoyed the shit out of that. So you got to check that one out. 205 Live. Honestly, Drew Gulak versus Mustafa Ali. I didn't have high hopes for this going into it. My God, amazing match. Drew Gulak has definitely upped his fucking stock in that division now. So, last but not least for NXT, I thought this match was going to suck because, you know, I'm kind of a Cassius oh no hater, that fat bastard. But you know what? Him and Adam Cole put on one hell of a fucking main event on this week's NXT. So those are the must-see matches of the week. Bitches.
You just made the list!
Guys, I haven't done it in a little bit, but somebody else has been added to my list, and I'm getting annoyed very fast, guys. Some of the names that have made the list is from Jason Jordan to Shayna Baszler. Asuka's on there, James Ellsworth's there, Velveteen Dream made it. Guys, this week, I have to say Shane McMahon is making my list only for the fact that we could see him again at WrestleMania, again taking spots from other guys. I'm sick of the McMahons in Mania, but you know what? This year, not so much Stephanie. I get it, but Shane McMahon, because I'll tell you what, now especially, we talked about Daniel Bryan's return. This, I feel like, ruins the return. I want to see Daniel Bryan come back to do a one-on-one match, a handicap match, 2-on-1. But adding Shane McMahon, I'm over it. He should have ended with Taker. Taker should have retired him from doing anything in ring. But still, Yeah, I guess maybe his boys haven't seen him win a match at Mania yet. Maybe that's why we have to get him again. Shane McMahon, man, just please stop. If I hear that you're coming in for a fight against Kevin Owens in a non-sanctioned match, and Sami Zayn, and your partner's Daniel Bryan, but Kuter, I know you said it before, that hot tag is going to be awesome. It's going to be the loudest tag of the night when Daniel Bryan gets in, but at the same time, I'm just like, stop. Shane doesn't bring anything anymore except for jumping off of high things, and unless he's going off the Mania sign, then I don't want to see it. I don't know.
You don't want to see his flurry punches?
I'm done. I can't. Shane, you're on the list until stop. You can get off the list if you're not in Mania, but right now you're on it. Anyway.
I was watching Botchamania this morning, and they do a lot of like crazy things on there, but there's this one thing where they took a South Park episode, and you had Kenny and Cartman, and they were talking about, I guess they were hiding from somebody. It was like, we have to make like code sounds. If you see him coming, make a noise of a dying giraffe. And they're like, what does that sound like? And they made that noise of Shane McMahon when he took the power bomb. He was like, woo, 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 like that weird, awkward noise he kept making. And I just could not stop laughing at that.
Shane McMahon, I'm sorry. I'm done. I just want to see new people on the show. Like, it's not WrestleMania and Shane McMahon every year. Just stop.
We're not guaranteed Shane just yet. So
I know.
let's have some hopes. Let's have some hope, man. I really do.
You never know, too. It could be Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens with Sami Zayn in one corner and Shane in the other corner.
That's a waste of talent.
It's not a waste of talent. You're keeping Shane on the outside.
What if you brought in Samoa Joe to be his partner? How great would that be?
Anybody but Shane, I think, at this point for
but
me.
It's just another guy from Ring of Honor who he, went through the indies with, man. I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
You could go that route.
Samoa Joe is a one-man army, though. That's the only thing.
He's on the list, though, for now.
We never did get to see that final Samoa Joe Kevin Owens match after that terrible piece of shit they had in NXT that one time.
Yeah.
All right, guy. Well, we talked about him today. It's a big week for him, so why not do it? Everybody's probably going to be talking about all the biggest comebacks this week, but how about let's get into some of the best dream opponents for Daniel Bryan right now on the current NXT WWE roster. Anything that we could possibly see, because this is a big deal, and I hope they make a big deal out of it. So, guys, right off the top, I think I'll just throw it to Kuter. Who would you want to see out of anybody right now go against Daniel Bryan or have a little feud with?
Oh, God. Well, I you know what? I've already said it. Samoa Joe. I think those two would complement each other very, very well. It's kind of that David versus Goliath thing. I mean, Samoa Joe is a big motherfucker, and, Daniel Bryan is that undersized fucking awesome ass kicker. So, I mean, that's a match I would definitely love to see. I mean, it's not like did they wrestle in Ring of Honor? I'm sure they had to have.
Yeah, I think they have. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with a guy that I think is going to be pure magic, and that's AJ Styles. I mean, the thing is with that match, too, is because you got the best wrestler in the world versus probably the best wrestler in the world that's returning. So that match is one of those matches where, like, I don't even think – I mean, it would be nice to have a story, but I don't even think you need a story for that. You can have these guys stand in the ring, and you're going to get a This Is Awesome chant before that match even starts. And that's another dream match you can have.
No, for sure.
Haven't they wrestled already, too?
I have to dig deep.
Years ago, somebody actually posted a video of them wrestling at a high school somewhere, and
yes,
there was like 2 rows of people. I know, that's just to come full circle. They came, it's like WrestleMania or something. But yeah, it's exciting though to think about, because once again, this is something we never thought was going to happen, and it's happening. So don't fucking put them against fucking Zack Ryder or some shit. Like, make these matches good. One name I got to bring up is because when The Miz started all that shit on Talking Smack, I wish they would bring that show back just for this, because Oh, it riled him up. It had to piss him off so much that he was... I wonder if The Miz was almost like one of the reasons why he was determined to get back in the ring, just to shut The Miz up. And I mean, man, the promos they could do with each other just to go back on that night and just relive that night again, just to show the stuff that The Miz was saying to him. So, man, I know it's not like an AJ Styles or a Samoa Joe kind of match, but still, just to put a cap on that little
because
feud
of the
with
story
Miz.
that was built behind it. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, just to put a cap on that.
SummerSlam match.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Guys that he's never touched, though. I mean, these are some great names that I see on this list. Nakamura. Oh, my God. If you thought that fucking Sami Zayn and Nakamura was good, Daniel Bryan and Nakamura would be fucking amazing, too, man.
And I think, and you bring up Nakamura, and I remember hearing an interview with Nakamura, him saying one of the reasons why he signed with the WWE was with hopes of possibly having a match with Daniel Bryan. Like, he still had hope, even though, they didn't clear him. So, I mean, that would be a great match. Another match on the list we have here is a guy that isn't really too established with the WWE yet, but that's Pete Dunne.
Oh, God.
I think Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight, Daniel Bryan, I think that would be an amazing match to have. I mean, Pete Dunne, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I saw this today, and this is what made me think of this match, was Pete Dunne and Daniel Bryan, they both idol William Regal, and they both wear maroon, and William Regal also wore maroon too. And it's just a small little thing I picked out that it kind of stood out to me. But I think that match between Pete Dunne, I think that would be magic as well.
No, yeah, for sure. What about a guy like maybe Aleister Black? Because he's doing some, he reminds me of Daniel Bryan and some of his movesets with the kicks and whatnot. That would probably be a really, really unique match. I guess when Aleister makes it up to the main roster kind of a thing. How they get there, I don't know. But I think that might be a good matchup, decent matchup.
Oh, yeah, that would probably be pretty good, too. But you know what? We got a name on here. That's a match I would have loved to see like 5 years ago. Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Because I said a long time ago, we were talking about dream matches, and like Kurt Angle was still in TNA. And I'm like, I wish he would just leave and do this match. I mean, that would be magic. That would be like Angle versus Benoit all over again from WrestleMania 17. But like now, I don't know. Can Kurt...
Dude, I know a lot of people are saying it online. Everybody's like Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan, and I agree with you. I'm the same way because I think it was maybe me and you, or I forgot who I went with. We saw a TNA show years ago, probably like less than 5 years ago at the Civic Center, and Kurt Angle, man, his knees are so bad, like he had to have help up at the, because they did like autographs at the end of the match, and it was the main event, and his knees, man, are so shot that it was.
I don't even
like
think he wrestled on that card, bro. I don't even think he wrestled on that card.
Ugh,
I had the Kurt Angle jinx with him for years, right? He was supposed to be in that ECW house show that they had at Poughkeepsie Civic Center, okay? 3 days beforehand, he was released from WWE. Then 2 house shows that TNA ran there, he was on the card, and then he pulled out because of his neck injuries twice. So 3 times in a row I went because I'd never seen Kurt Angle live. I shouldn't say that. I did see him, believe it or not, at the Poughkeepsie Civic Center years ago when he was on SmackDown. But I mean, for the reason me going, and 3 times in a row, he wasn't on that card.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit too late for Kurt Angle, but they have been hiding Kurt Angle in tag matches, so I guess maybe that's another reason too. But yeah, what are some other dream matches we could get out of Daniel Bryan?
We got Johnny Gargano.
Oh my God, how the fuck did I not see that?
Where you got 2 underdogs. Now, granted, you don't even need any of these guys to play the heel. I mean, you got Johnny Gargano, who pretty much is the underdog and can sell very good. He could sell just as good as Daniel Bryan. So those 2 in the ring together, I mean, look, that's another dream match that would just steal the show. There's so much, man.
Definitely complement each other. I think their styles. So it'd definitely be a match worth watching for sure.
You know who's not on this list that I think would be good? Andrade Cien Almas.
That guy would be amazing in the ring with him too.
Uh-huh.
Luchador versus the Dragon. Man, what about some Luchador guys? What about like don't shit on me, but what about like a Kalisto or
no.
somebody like against Daniel Bryan, because I mean they never had a
block
Rey
him on
Mysterio.
Twitter.
He never had like a Rey Mysterio match, has he? I don't remember a Daniel Bryan Rey Mysterio kind of a match.
No, Rey Mysterio and Daniel Bryan have not wrestled.
That might be. I mean,
That I know. So that would be a great match, but I promise you guys I will stay away from Rey if that match is booked. I do not want to jinx that match.
Sure.
A Finn Balor and Daniel Bryan has never happened.
Ooh, the Demon versus
Wow,
the
I forgot
Dragon.
about that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be amazing.
Just imagine the WWE actually let Daniel Bryan go by the moniker the American
Oh,
Dragon.
please. Just give him something. You put his name in reverse. Give him something. For sure. Make it like that. Because, I think what we're talking about, too, at the end of the day is that, these are dream matches. What's going to happen? What's not going to happen? But still, like, John Cena has his foot out the door, kind of. He's wrestling here and there, but he's fading away, if you will, into the sunset. Boom, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan retired, had an emotional speech. People were crying, and now the man is back. It's like it's a second chance at life in a way. You know what I mean? To where they need to use him. They don't need to abuse him. Don't give him a crazy ass schedule. Just use his celebrity, his status for the good of WWE. And I'm kind of curious too, because after WrestleMania, do they write him off of SmackDown? Because I could tell it now. Vince is like, we need him on Raw. I want him on Raw. I feel like Vince is going to want him on the A show, Raw, right? Do you think even that happening too, just to switch landscapes with him a little bit?
That would be the worst thing that they could ever do.
They got to save their boy Roman, right? Because he's gonna.
That's exactly right, Credo. Because I'm telling you, there's going to be a major shakeup, and I'm telling you, there's going to be some big names leaving Raw and some shitty names coming over from SmackDown. And SmackDown's going to be that show to watch, because you know what? Any big name that you have on Raw that you're going to put up against Roman, they're just the only way you could possibly try to get him over is to fucking put these lesser names that really nobody gives a fuck about against him. I guarantee you Braun Strowman goes to SmackDown. I guarantee you The Miz goes back to SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised to see fucking
Finn Balor or Seth Rollins, right? Somebody, yeah. Got to keep Roman strong, right?
Yeah, I just think that, there's so many names that we didn't even talk about. And just, like you said in the opening, this is a game changer.
Yep.
This really is a game changer. Like, this just
never happened before.
Yeah,
Never.
This just makes everything. Now, granted, we get all hyped up and we get excited, but the WWE will ruin it somehow, some way. But let's just not think about that right now. Let's just keep playing off our emotions and be excited.
Enjoy the moments.
Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts. There's so much stuff that we can look forward to after WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania on paper looks like a great card, and we said that last week before the Daniel Bryan announcement. But now the Daniel Bryan announcement happened, the card is so much better. And then I actually am looking forward to after WrestleMania, because sometimes after WrestleMania they already hit that boom period and they kind of settle down a little bit. Yeah. They're not settling if Daniel Bryan is active.
Definitely. And it was funny because every time we hear that Roman Reigns is in the main event, it's like our anticipation for Mania goes down. But then it was like, oh, well, we're getting AJ Nakamura. And I was like, oh, all right. And then Roman's status it gets lower and lower because it's like, oh, well, we're getting AJ Nakamura. I don't care too much if Roman's fighting Brock, whatever. And now that we hear Daniel Bryan's back, oh, boom, up higher goes Daniel Bryan and down goes Roman Reigns to where...
you mean Kurt Angle's going to wear a girdle during his match? Oh, wow, it went up even higher. Holy shit.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I know we discussed this last week. I'm going to ask the same question again, now throwing in that Daniel Bryan match. Who closes WrestleMania? Do you close WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan's return?
You cannot do. I'm telling you, man. They need to put Brock and Roman in the middle of the show, and that's it. And then let that's the thing, man. I'll tell you what. Close it with Daniel Bryan if it's just Daniel Bryan, to where it's like, just off the top of my head, I would personally accept a match to where it's Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens, where Kevin Owens has Sami Zayn in his corner, and then Daniel Bryan has Shane in his corner.
You can't close a show with Shane McMahon, bro. No, you have to close. You close that show with AJ Styles, Nakamura.
I know, but I'm saying if it was a Daniel Bryan match, to where I'd rather not have Shane in the match, have him in the corner. But okay, yeah, I'm telling you, they need to balance that out because it's gonna have to be after Roman Reigns' Daniel Bryan's match, and then closing it with AJ. You gotta close it with the champ if he returns.
Now, my next question is, because Daniel Bryan is going to be an active wrestler now, that automatically should strip him of being general manager, I would assume, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So who would be taking that spot?
Stinger. You bring Sting in? What about
Hogan?
Hogan? What about Hogan? A good way to write him back into the show. He could be the general manager.
Listen, if we can't name a battle royal after Mae Young for pimping out hoes, okay, I don't think we can bring back the N-bomb drop in Hulkster.
It wasn't Mae Young.
It wasn't my fault, Hulk Hogan.
My apologies.
I get it twisted too. Don't worry.
Yeah, I Booker Titas. I know. Thank
you. Thunderlips Invitational, guys. It's just a way to get around it, but that's a good point, though. I mean, I don't know what other legends. Maybe Mark Henry. Maybe somebody who's still active, and they just need somebody else. I don't know. So switch it up a bit. What do you guys think? AnotherWrestlingPodcast.com. Once again, like us, follow us, subscribe. Leave Angry Kuter all the hate mail you want. Give Minority Mike all the love in the emails. Just give us some love. Let us know you're out there. Comment, and we'll comment back. Right?
That's right. And follow me on Instagram at @angry_Kuter, and don't tug your peckers, bitches.
You can follow me at minority_Mike on Twitter. You tweet at me, I'll tweet you back. If you want to troll, just tweet at Kuter. He loves trolls.
I don't tweet, I told you. You can follow my Insta though.
So then follow Kuter on his Instagram and just leave nothing but troll marks. Just troll every single picture of Kuter's. Get him going so we can talk about you.
You can't get me going. Listen.
Well, you could tweet at you, though, even though we'll try to get you to respond. It might be hard.
It'll never happen. Listen.
Who can get
all comments are good comments, all right? There is no bad publicity when you're the angry.
I got a task for all the listeners. Everybody go to Angry Kuter's Instagram and just leave nothing but absurd troll comments, and the best comments, Kuter will read it on air next week.
Maybe about salad. We don't have to get into that, but maybe we
edit this part out, Credo. You know what the best part is?
What?
I gave them all the wrong fucking.
What is it?
Angry Kuter. There's no underscore. So
good. I just needed you saying that. Now I can edit that into where you say it.
Fuck.